Hi, I'm Jay, and welcome to the garage here at the West Egg Lounge. And we got a little problem with this 1978 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 2. We're leaking brake fluid substantially from brake circuit 1. Let's find out. Notice that right there? That's about where it's supposed to be at. That's where it is now. So I was driving around all day, no problem, nearly 300 miles that day, right? And I come back home, park in my garage. There's a massive puddle of hydraulic oil from circuit 1 near the rear of the engine on the ground, right? So I'm kind of confused because when the system was up to pressure, there was no issue, right? And so under that conclusion, I had to. It pretty much leaves two options: either the low pressure return line from the accumulator to the reservoir, or the feed pipe from the reservoir to the brake pump, right? So both of those are low pressure lines, and it leaked out while the car was sitting. So the system was not up to pressure at the time, which they normally operate right around 1800 to 2200 psi in that general range. So I found the brake fluid to be pooling underneath the distributor near the rear of the engine in the valley, kind of underneath the intake manifold, and then dripping over the transmission and out on the ground and onto the exhaust balance pipe, of course, nasty smoke. And the problem with that is the brake pump that's adjacent to that is the circuit 2 pump, which is running fine. So no leaks there, right? So how did that get the brake fluid get from one of the either return pipe, the brake pump, or the return pipe from the accumulator, right? Or excuse me, the feed pipe from the reservoir to the pump, from the front of the engine, which is up here, down to the back side of the engine. Didn't make any sense at first, but then I kind of realized the whole engine's kind of sloped back like this. Fluid tends to go downhill, right? So, and not to mention my garage is slightly like this. So that makes perfect sense. This is going to be very difficult to see, but you see how that hydraulic fluid is pooling kind of near the transmission bell housing? So all the associated pipe work with the return and the feed pump, or feed pipe to the pump, is all bone dry. There's something going on here. And there's really leaves only one other component, and that's the brake pump itself. See that guy right there? That's the brake pump, right? And yeah, it's seeping, that's for sure. And rolling back down the underneath the intake manifold on the valley of the engine, all the way back to right here. So do we have to replace the pump? And the answer is no. We have to replace 2 O-rings between the actual pump and the body of the pump that surrounds it. So that's generally where these things tend to leak, and it would make sense with the temperature differences and also the pressure differences between the engine sitting cool overnight and normal driving conditions. And O-rings tend to shrink and expand with heat, of course. And so this makes perfect sense to me. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the pipe work from the pump, and we're going to remove that housing over the pump, and leaving the pump still on the car, and replace both of those O-rings, and then reassemble, fill with fluid, bleed brake circuit 1, and continue on driving as normally. So the first thing you got to do before you do any kind of work to the hydraulic system on these things is to depressurize the whole system. And the way to do that is to turn the ignition over to the run spot and just pump the brakes. Pump, 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 pump. Literally 100 times, right? That's not an exaggeration. I'm going to continue to do this for a minute. Hang on. So you'll know when your brake systems are lowering in pressure when you get both the brake pressure 1 circuit and the brake pressure 2 circuit warning lights that are illuminated. Just keep going to about 100 times. So this is going to be next to impossible to see on camera, but what we're going to do is we're going to remove the high pressure pipe from the pump to the accumulator, as well as the inlet pipe right here. And there's a snap ring on top of here. Then we should be able to remove the body of the pump. Now, due to the funky angle on this, I can't really use a flare nut wrench, so we'll do what we can here. It's a 3/4 inch fitting. There we go. It's broken loose. There we go. Yeah, when you install new O-rings, you always want to make sure that they're very well lubricated with brake fluid, or hydraulic oil, or whatever you're using, but in this case it's the brake fluid. Alright, got a mildly difficult get these over it. Hang on. Oh, got the first one, it fell right in, so now we gotta get the second one. Hang on just a minute. I grab another one.
Yeah, so our little problem turned into a bigger problem, of course. And so I was trying to bleed the brakes, you know, after replacing those seals and reassembling the pump, the housing over the pump itself. And we weren't getting any pressure anywhere. And so not even a trickle. So naturally, I presumed there'd be a problem with the pump, and I still believe that to be the case. But it was, yeah, when you're troubleshooting anything like this, you got to start at the reservoir and work your way down until you find the problem. So what I ended up doing was I pulled the inlet pipe off the pump, and still getting the gravity feed from it. So we're still getting fluid there. So that wasn't the issue. And I took the outlet pipe off of the off the pump, and we weren't getting anything at all, like nothing. And so that's where our problem lies. So unfortunately, we do have to take off the pump, take the pump off the car, and bench test it and figure it out from there. All right, so now what we got to do is separate this fitting right here and gain access to the top of the pump so we can remove it with the removal tool. So. God dang. Well, that hasn't been off in 45 years. Whew, all right. Yeah, that's on there. Shit. So I may be able to get that thing in there otherwise. Yeah. All right. So I didn't want to break that because I'll never be able to find another one. So that's why I'm going to try to work around it as opposed to ripping it off. Ripping it off is probably the appropriate way to do this. All right, so now here's the fun part. I already got the tool over the pump. I took the fan shroud, the brake pump housing off just like we did before. No differences there. But I got the tool over the pump. Now, fun begins. Okay, so. Damn. Jesus. Whew. All right. Shit. Okay. Ah! So it shouldn't be that difficult, but it was. So, all right, so let's back her out. All right. There's our brake pump. All right, so now I got to bench test it. I'm going to put some fluid in there. All right, so now we're going to try manually pumping it. Here, hang on, let me find a screwdriver or something. And we got a problem here, so we're not getting anything going on. I guess there's something wrong with the check valve, because you notice how the fluid's not going down and up through here. I originally thought this might have been airlocked and we're doing this all for nothing, but we got a problem. So I'm gonna have to disassemble this brake pump and go from there, because I really don't know what's wrong with this yet. So we'll figure it out. Now we're gonna start ripping this guy apart. Find my wrench. God damn. All right. That was easier. All right, so, all right. Don't immediately see anything wrong with this. Okay, so that's a very finely machined fit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You can feel a little bit of drag on it, but that's exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, it feels good. So, spring, not broken, obviously. Nothing wrong with spacer washer. Oh, man. You know, I think I'm missing a seal. What the fuck? Huh. I just happened to have laying around. All right, where's Yeah, I swear to God, I don't think I have that seal in there. I'm gonna do a little bit more research and come back to it, but this check valve looks to be okay. It's moving freely. No issue there. Yeah, there's no significant resistance to this either. That's good there too. Yeah, I think that problem was the fact that I didn't have that sealing ring in there. So, yeah, well, that's a bit of a development. So I gotta order one and do a little bit more research and see exactly which channel it goes into. I think this is the right one, but I got to double check the part numbers. It seems to be a little bit oversized for what it is, so I'm curious as to if that's the one or not. But all right, I'll be back. So after looking at the prints to find out how these pumps work, I noticed that there's essentially two valves, and there's the non-return valve preventing the backflow from the high pressure pipe, and then there's the there's a secondary valve. Well, I guess you can call it the primary valve, and the check valve is the secondary. Pushes up on a little spring washer, and when the plunger pushes the fluid through. So after looking at the print, I understood that, and I kind of had an idea, because there's a little bit of pitting on both the flat side of the non-return valve that the washer seats on and the washer itself. So there could have been some leak by there, and also the spring washer very well likely was out of position, and I didn't happen to verify that when I took it apart, so I can only assume that's the case. All right, so now it's hard to see, but I'm trying to get the spring washer now the arc side up, and that tool is somewhat magnetized, so it's kind of difficult to do. So. See if I can find something to stick in there. Looks like I got it. All right. So. I'm going to clean up these edges on these washer and the edge of the check valve. Hang on, I'm going to go find some sandpaper. On some 1500 grit. Nice. Yeah, nice and clean. There's a little bit of pitting on there and a little bit of corrosion. That might have been our problem. All right. Nice and centralized. Okay. It's gonna be kind of hard to see on camera. That's what we got going on. All right, so now I gotta do that with the bottom of the check valve. Or excuse me, the non-return valve. Yes, whatever, same difference. That looks pretty. All right. So check that out. Nice and shiny. No pitting. Stick that guy right in there. Shit. All right. I unnecessarily took that out. Now I gotta start over. All right. So it's. Let me double check the function of that. There we go. Okay. So valve spring first. Remember, arc side up. Damn, I flipped it over. That was. My arc side is up. Now I gotta centralize it. Perfect, right in the middle. I'll grab the washer. Definitely gotta centralize that one too. Now this is the crush washer for the adapter on the top. And this is the high pressure outlet pipe adapter. Alright, so there's that. And man, I gotta tighten that up in the tool. Alright. Flipping over the other side. Now for fun part. I'm gonna put the valve spring in. Cool. There. Piston. Yeah, it still feels good. Sweet. Okay. And I gotta stick that in there and then put the snap ring in the bottom and go from there. Hang on 1 second. I gotta find the appropriate snap ring pliers. Let's see if I can get a better angle on this guy. All right, so. There we go. Got the snap ring seated. So what we're going to try to do is bench test it again and see if we got anywhere. Let's try again here. Hey, we're taking on fluid. Looking like we're getting somewhere. Hey, look at that. We got a spurter. Sweet. It's almost like I know what the hell I'm doing. All right. So now we got to put this thing back on the car. Go from there. All right. So putting the pump back in. start the threads by hand to ensure that we don't accidentally strip anything. There we go, that feels good. Sweet. All right, I gotta I gotta go get the socket. Fit over it and fit right into the cancellations again. There we go. Now, I am not going to use the impact wrench because I don't find that necessary. Shouldn't have been that hard to take off to begin with. Just gonna use a breaker bar and give it a good 100 foot-pounds or so. All right, there we go. Okay. Remove this tool. Now we have to reconnect the pipe work. Here's the fun part. All right. Yep, my 3/4 knot flare nut wrench. All right. And you want to make sure these flare fittings are good and snug. Just tight and then just a little bit more. There's a specific torque setting for these, but you know, fuck it. Up there we go. Now I gotta, oh fuck, hang on, I gotta put the body of the pile pump over it, and I'm a fucking retard. All right, hang on. Okay, so now you know, kind of wiggle this guy out of the way again. Perfect. Okay, so there we go. That's better. Okay, so push it over. I'm gonna get it just a little bit more love. Really should be doing this with brass, but I don't have one right now, so this is what we're gonna use. Just so it seats at the bottom of the pump. Snap ring time. Gotta fit it right into the groove. There we go. Hey, that was easy. All right, so now we can put the pipework back on. Start with the outlet pipe. Nice and smooth. Now wrench it. Now once again to whatever the specific torque setting is. It says so in the manual, but you know, fuck it, just a little tighter than tight. Okay, so now we gotta put the inlet pipe on. So luckily enough, we can kind of wiggle this around to get it to where it needs to be. All right. All right, move this over, that guy in. Always start them by hand so you don't cross thread anything. Man. Of course, it's got to be fiddly. Where's... Oh, fuck. All right, where's... Come on, you fiddly prick. Where's... Of all fucking things, a flare fitting. All right, where's... Ah, God, what a bitch. All right, where's... That feels pretty good. Okay. It's important to mention that on some of the older shadows, there is an O-ring that goes inside this for this inlet pipe, and for the newer ones there is not. And this being a 78, being 33854, just for the VIN number, it's not required. So they made a lot of significant changes to these over the years. This being one of them. Just over tight. There we go. Cool. So earlier I had removed the intake pipe work and set it aside so I can get better access to this. And I neglected to do that on camera, but I'll show you the reverse process of putting it back on. It's super simple. This just fits in here. It's just a gasket. It sits in there just like that. And the exhaust stove pipe right there. There, it feels good. And for the choke, grab a half incher right here. What do you know? Right, so, boom, no problem. All right, so now one little bolt over here that holds this in. Just keep it from vibrating around. All right, now I took the vice grips off that inlet pipe to keep it from draining, but it looks like it kind of already did anyway because I left this overnight. So yeah, so now we got to just bleed everything out and go from there.
So you'll never be able to see this while I'm actually doing it on camera. So see that bleed nipple right there on the accumulator on the left-hand side, right next to the high pressure pipe? That's where we're going to be bleeding out. We got fluid. Dripping all over the exhaust, but we got it. Okay, so I have a brick sitting on the brake pedal, and that opens up the distribution valve. So now we're going to be able to bleed the calipers. So the brake circuit 1 is feeds the 2 front calipers, because there's on this one over here is brake circuit 2. They're redundant. Yeah. Fill her up, Scotty. That's what I want, right there. Make sure it's tight. Good to go, on to the next wheel. All right, so let's start the car again. Bleed this guy out. There we go. That's what I want. All right, no more bubbles going in the bottle. There, we're down to the front 2 wheels. All right, you gotta do this while the engine running again, but all we gotta do is the top bleed screw, because that's the only one that's fed by brake circuit 1. So we'll get that started. It's loose. All right, just start the car. No problem. Huh. Free of air bubbles. Now on to the next one. Now this is going to be kind of difficult. For one, you can't really see it because of the exhaust, and 2, I don't want to touch the exhaust. So, here we go. Got fluid. And we are now free of air bubbles.
yeah, so that was a success. Now we've got clean brake fluid, no air bubbles at all 4 wheels, and at the accumulator, of course. I didn't bleed the distribution valve because by bleeding each wheel, you essentially bleed the distribution valve just by running fluid through it. So it's really kind of not necessary unless you're doing a complete system rebuild and you don't want to airlock anything, which we didn't do. So yeah, that was a success, and no more brake pressure lights, and we should be all set to go. Okay, so we're gonna go take this thing for a test drive. We're gonna go visit my tailor and maybe a couple friends of mine. So I'm at my friend's house now and double checking for leaks. Doesn't look like we have any. The fluid expanded a bit just being hot. So that's why it's a little bit above the top up level, but that's normal operation. So I think we're good to go home. So total cost for repair, right? So wasn't as bad as you might think. I really didn't have to replace a whole lot. Just those valve body O-rings that ran me about $16 a piece. And I bought 4 of them in case I destroyed 2 of them. And I just didn't want to wait for shipping again. And I also bought 10 liters of hydraulic fluid, which I knew I wasn't going to need anywhere close to that, but it's good to have some just laying around anyway. And also the tool that I used for the brake pump, to remove the brake pump. This guy right here, right? This guy I bought from British Tool Works on eBay. It was $125. And if you own one of these cars, you're going to want to buy one of these, just because it'll save you a lot of time and effort. You wouldn't have to strip down the top of the engine and use a spanner. You use this guy right here. It's easy enough. So yeah, that about covers it. And so a grand total with shipping and everything, I think it was right around a $400 repair. It wasn't bad. It was not too bad. Take care, guys. Till next time.